Every gilded cage is built with walls of comfort. The only question is what you're paying for them.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to unpack a worldview, one drawn from our sources that maps out a kind of hidden architecture of power. It's a perspective that suggests the big events happening around the globe aren't just random chaos, but are maybe guided by a deliberate unseen hand. All right, let's just dive right into this. According to the sources we're digging into today, this really famous quote from President Kennedy, it's not just seen as some political speech. Nope. It's presented as the actual framework for a secret history, a hidden conflict that's shaping our world right from behind the curtain. So, how does this whole structure of control supposedly work? Well, this worldview says that the most obvious, the foundational layer, is all about economics. And it all starts, according to these narratives, with the creation of private central banking. When you look at the history of American banking through this particular lens, it's not some dry, boring story about economics. It's framed as this fierce, ongoing struggle. This timeline really shows that battle, this constant back and forth between presidents and private money, with both sides fighting to control the nation's money supply. And believe me, the stakes were incredibly high. This quote from Andrew Jackson is put forward as some powerful proof of that conflict. It paints the fight over money not as just some policy disagreement, but as a moral war, a battle for the very soul of the country. But that raises a pretty big question. Who is actually directing this whole system of financial control? To get that answer, the sources tell us we have to climb one level higher on the pyramid of power and step into the shadows. What this worldview describes is this incredible web of interconnected groups. You've got the ones that are supposedly philosophical, like the Illuminati and the Freemasons, and then you have what are described as practical recruiting grounds, like Skull and Bones. And then you have the policymaking forums, like the Council on Foreign Relations, and these super secret elite get-togethers, like Bohemian Grove. The idea here is that these are the command centers, where the real long-term plans get hammered out. Now, the key point the sources make here is how they position the Illuminati. It's not just treated as some old historical myth. It's seen as the philosophical starting gun for this entire modern agenda, a revolutionary plan that was allegedly put into motion centuries ago. And this is supposed to be a perfect illustration of the strategy. Groups like Skull and Bones are portrayed as these elite talent agencies that find and basically indoctrinate future leaders. These members then get placed in the most powerful positions in government, in finance, creating what's described as a loyal and totally interconnected ruling class. Okay, let's keep climbing and see how this builds. Because the sources claim that underneath all the politics, all the finance, there's something way deeper going on. A hidden philosophy, almost like a secret religion, that explains the why behind this whole thing. So, the core of this hidden doctrine is said to be something called Gnosticism. It's this ancient belief system that basically says humanity is divine, that we have this divine spark inside us. But it's trapped in a material world that wasn't created by the true God, but by some lesser, flawed creator called the demiurge. And from this viewpoint, if you're one of the few who achieves this special knowledge, or gnosis, you might believe you have the right to manage this flawed creation and all the people stuck in it. And this idea of hidden knowledge is it's absolutely central. This whole concept of an exoteric teaching for the public and an esoteric one for the inner circle is key to how these groups supposedly operate. One story for everybody else and a completely different one for the true believers. Our sources will often bring up occult scholars like Manly P. Hall to really drive this point home. The argument is that these organizations have always worked this way, with a public face of charity and brotherhood that's really just a cover for a hidden, inner core of initiates who understand the deeper, secret mission. So, the big question is, if this worldview is right about a financial system of control, a network of secret societies, and a hidden philosophy that elevates a select few, where is all of this going? What's the endgame here? What's the ultimate goal at the very, very top of the pyramid? The narrative we're exploring here ends up in a vision of what's been called a digital panopticon. Think of it as a high-tech system of total control, a kind of digital feudalism, where every transaction you make, every move, maybe even every opinion, can be monitored, managed, and controlled through technology. And listen, this isn't just about moving to a cashless society. According to this worldview, things like central bank digital currencies are the final piece of the entire puzzle. They could allow for what's called programmable money, currency that can literally be turned on or off or restricted from certain purchases, tying your economic freedom directly to your social and political behavior. So, in the end, the worldview laid out in these sources leaves us at a massive crossroads. It presents two completely different futures. One is a world of technologically enforced total control, and the other is a future of individual spiritual awakening, of rediscovering that Gnostic divine spark. The question it leaves hanging in the air is, which path are we on?